You think it's the market that beats you. The charts, the algorithms, the banks, the whales. But the truth is it's not the market. It's you. It's your fear, your greed, your hesitation, your arrogance. The deadliest traps in trading are not out there on Wall Street. They are inside you, and unless you learn to master them, they will destroy you just like they have destroyed countless traders before. Traders step into the market thinking they are about to conquer a battlefield outside themselves. But the true battlefield is internal. The prices moving up and down are just reflections of collective psychology. And within that storm of movement lies every weakness of human nature. You watch the candles form, the ticks move, the orders flow, and you tell yourself you see clarity. But that clarity is an illusion, a projection of what you want to believe. The illusion of certainty is one of the first and deadliest traps. You stare at a setup on the chart, your heart racing as everything seems to align, and suddenly you're convinced this trade cannot fail. Your conviction swells, your ego whispers that you have finally cracked the code, and you press buy or sell with absolute confidence. At that exact moment, the trap closes. The market does not bend to certainty. It does not reward arrogance. It punishes it with ruthless efficiency. The stock gaps against you, the candle reverses. The trend shifts. You hold on, whispering that it has to come back, that it cannot end this way, but it does. And every tick against you is not just a loss of capital, but a loss of discipline, of rationality, of self-control. The market feeds on that. It is not the loss itself that destroys traders, but the inability to accept being wrong. That inability turns a small mistake into a devastating collapse. It is the illusion of control, the belief that because you have studied, analyzed, and prepared, you are entitled to certainty. No trader is entitled to certainty. The market owes you nothing. Then comes the fear of missing out, another trap that gnaws at every trader's heart. It begins quietly, like a faint whisper. You see a stock or a pair climbing, and you say to yourself, "I'll wait. I'll be disciplined. I'll stick to my plan." But as it continues to climb, the whisper becomes a roar. You see others profiting. You imagine yourself left behind, and the pain of not participating outweighs the discipline you swore to hold. You chase. You enter late, at the top, just as the market is preparing to reverse. And when it does, the weight of regret crushes you harder than the loss itself. That is the cruelty of FOMO. It punishes not just your account, but your psychology. It rewires your brain into believing you are always behind, always missing, always excluded from opportunity. It makes you reactive instead of proactive, desperate instead of patient. The market punishes desperation mercilessly. An ED trader is a dead trader. Then, when fortune finally does smile on you, when a few trades go your way, another trap opens, the poison of overconfidence. Success intoxicates. A winning streak convinces you that you have transcended the crowd, that you have seen something others cannot. It whispers that the rules no longer apply to you, that you are not just another trader, you are destined, chosen, invincible. But invincibility is the most dangerous illusion of all. When profits fill your account, humility evaporates. You start sizing larger, ignoring your stops, abandoning your plan. The same trader who once feared missing out now believes he cannot miss. And when the market finally turns against you, it takes back everything it gave. Often in a single move, they come after winning streaks, when arrogance blinds the trader to risk. That is the paradox of trading. The higher you rise on the wings of profit, the more vulnerable you become to the fall. And then comes the most destructive trap of all revenge trading. Losses are not just numbers on a screen. They are wounds to pride. The refusal to accept defeat leads traders into a spiral of destruction. You lose a trade, your ego burns, and instead of stepping back, you double down. You whisper to yourself, I'll make it back today. I'll take from the market what it just took from me. But the market is not a debtor, and it never pays back on demand. Revenge trading blinds you, makes you reckless, pushes you to force opportunities that do not exist. Each loss fuels the next desperate attempt, until nothing is left. It is not trading anymore, it is gambling with your sanity on the line. This spiral destroys more traders than any strategy failure. Because in that spiral, you are no more following your system, your plan, or your analysis. You are following your anger. And anger never beats the market. Anger only accelerates destruction. There is another emotional trap most traders never talk about. And yet it is just as deadly, the trap of hesitation. Fear does not only drive you into reckless entries, it also freezes you out of opportunities. You see the setup forming, the entry you dreamed of, the plan you wrote down, but when the moment arrives, your hand trembles, doubt floods your mind, and you do nothing. You tell yourself you'll wait for more confirmation, more safety, and while you wait, the move explodes without you. That hesitation plants seeds of regret, and regret quickly mutates into desperation. The next time you hesitate, the fear of missing out kicks in harder. You enter too late, chasing instead of anticipating. And once again, the cycle of punishment continues. The market preys not only on greed and arrogance, but also on fear and doubt. Every hesitation is a mirror reflecting your lack of confidence, and the market punishes that weakness with relentless efficiency. Over time, these traps create a psychological maze from which most traders never escape. You think you are learning strategies, signals, patterns, but what you're really doing is confronting yourself, your lack of discipline, your impatience, your greed, your fear. Every trade is a test of character more than a test of knowledge, and most fail not because they didn't study enough, but because they couldn't master themselves. The emotional traps compound. A trader who falls to FOMO eventually falls to overconfidence when one trade does go right. A trader who hesitates today will chase tomorrow. A trader who refuses to cut losses quickly will eventually seek revenge. And all of these traps lead to the same destination: destruction. Accounts wiped out, dreams shattered, psyches broken beyond repair. The market does not destroy traders with volatility or manipulation. It destroys them by turning their own emotions against them. The tape, the chart, the price, they are neutral, indifferent, cold. It is the trader who gives them meaning, who projects fear and hope onto every tick. And in doing so, the trader builds his own downfall. Some believe they can fight this with more knowledge, more indicators, more information. But information without discipline is useless. You can have the most advanced system in the world, but if you cannot control your fear, your greed, your hesitation, and your arrogance, you will lose. The trap is not external, it is internal, and that is what makes it so difficult to escape. The history of trading is littered with the corpses of brilliant men who knew everything about the market but nothing about themselves. They studied cycles, signals, and strategies, but they did not study their own weaknesses. And so they fell, not because the market beat them, but because they beat themselves. The irony is that traders know these traps. They can name them, they can talk about them, they can even teach others about them. But knowing is not the same as mastering. When real money is on the line, when emotions rise, knowledge collapses, and the traps reappear. A trader may conquer one trap for a season, but another one will wait just around the corner. That is why trading is a lifelong struggle against the self. The first step to survival is recognition. To understand that you are not fighting the market, you are fighting yourself. Every entry, every exit, every stop, every hesitation is a battle between discipline and emotion. And only those who consistently choose discipline survive. But recognition alone is not enough. Many traders recognize their weaknesses but still succumb to them. They admit they chase, they admit they hesitate. They admit they hold losers to long or cut winners to short. But in the heat of the moment, they repeat the same mistakes. Why? Because the emotional traps are not intellectual problems. They are visceral. They live in the gut, not the brain. They strike when adrenaline rises, when fear tightens the chest, when greed clouds judgment. The trader who believes he can solve emotional traps with reason alone is like a man trying to put out a fire with words. Discipline is not born from knowledge, it is born from practice. It is hammered into the mind through repetition, through pain, through rules followed with iron resolve. Every time a trader cuts a loss quickly, he weakens the grip of fear. Every time he resists chasing, he weakens the pull of FOMO. Every time he sizes appropriately after a win, he weakens the poison of overconfidence. Discipline is not a what-I'm victory. It is a war waged daily. And like war, the cost of failure is heavy. Consider what happens when a trader refuses to accept these truths. He enters the market armed with strategies but unprepared for the ambush within his own mind. The first trap he falls into may only cost a small portion of his capital, but that loss triggers the next trap, and the next, until the spiral of destruction begins. A small hesitation turns into a late chase. A late chase turns into an oversized position. An oversized position turns into a devastating loss. That loss triggers revenge trading. Revenge trading accelerates into ruin. What began as one small crack in discipline becomes a collapse of the entire structure. And when the collapse comes, it is not just financial, it is emotional. The trader looks at the wreckage of his account, but what hurts more is the wreckage of his confidence. He no longer trusts his judgment. He no longer believes in his edge. He hesitates on every trade, doubts every signal, and lives in constant fear of loss. The market has not only taken his money, it has taken his spirit. This is why so many traders never return. They may recover financially, but emotionally they are broken beyond repair. Yet, for those who survive long enough to see the truth, the traps can be managed, though never fully eliminated. You cannot remove fear from trading, but you can control your reaction to it. You cannot eliminate greed, but you can contain it with rules. You cannot erase hesitation, but you can train yourself to act despite it. You cannot kill arrogance completely, but you can humble it with constant awareness of risk. The market does not demand perfection, but it does demand control. Those who cannot control themselves will always be controlled by the market.